They tell you the graveyard shift is safe. They're wrong. One night, in the glaring silence of Megamart, I discovered we weren't alone. Something was tapping, then bleeding, then hunting. They never found Dave. They never found Mike. They never found it. This is the story the store doesn't want you to hear. The flickering fluorescence buzzed overhead as I shoved the last box of cereal onto the shelf. Almost midnight. The usual post-10 p.m. quiet had settled over the supercenter, broken only by the distant clatter of a pallet jack and the low hum of the freezers. I wiped sweat from my forehead, exhausted. This overnight stocking gig was brutal, but rent didn't pay itself. I was alone in the vast grocery section. Janice was up front manning the self-checkouts, and Dave was supposedly tackling automotive. The warehouse guys were ghosts in the back. Grabbing my empty pallet jack, I aimed for the back hallway to grab my next load. That's when I heard it. A soft, rhythmic tap, tap, tapping from the far end of aisle 7, the baking supplies. Stopping, I listened. Tap, tap, tap. Like someone idly running a fingernail down a metal shelf. Weird. I peered down the dimly lit aisle. Empty. Shrugging it off as the building settling or my tired brain, I pushed the jack towards receiving. 20 minutes later, hauling a pallet of paper towels towards the front, I passed aisle 7 again. The tapping was back. Louder this time, insistent. Tap, 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 tap. I stopped the pallet jack. Hello? Dave, that you messing around? Silence answered. Then the distinct sound of a can clattering to the floor. My skin prickled. Janice, I called out towards the front, my voice echoing strangely in the empty space. No answer. Maybe she was helping the one customer I'd seen browsing magazines earlier. A tall guy in a dark hoodie, face shadowed. I hadn't paid him much mind. I decided to investigate. Leaving the pellet jack, I walked slowly down aisle 7. Flour, sugar, cake mixes. Nothing seemed out of place. Then I saw it. A single can of green beans lying on its side near the end cap. I bent to pick it up. And as I straightened, a cold draft washed over me. The motion sensor lights at the very end of the aisle flickered and died, plunging the last 10 feet into near darkness. That's when I smelled it. Sharp, metallic, like pennies left in the rain. Blood. My breath hitched. I strained to see into the gloom. Was that a shape huddled on the floor? A dark stain spreading on the linoleum? Panic seized me. I stumbled backwards, crashing into a pyramid of soup cans. They tumbled with a deafening clatter. From the darkness, a low, wet gurgle echoed. Not human, not animal. Something wrong. I didn't think. I ran, not towards the front where Janice should be, but towards the back, towards the warehouse doors. Safety in numbers, right? My sneakers squeaked on the polished floor as I sprinted past aisles, the fluorescent lights strobing overhead like a faulty disco ball. The metallic smell seemed to follow me, clinging to the air. Bursting through the heavy double doors into the warehouse, I slammed them shut behind me, leaning against them, gasping. The vast, high-ceilinged space was dimly lit, stacked high with towering pallets. Dave? Mike? Anyone back here? My voice sounded small and shaky. Silence, thick and oppressive. Where were they? They should be breaking down boxes or unloading the next truck. The stillness was terrifying. The only sound was the frantic thudding of my own heart and the hum of the massive coolers lining the far wall. Then a scraping sound, slow, deliberate. like something heavy being dragged across concrete. It came from behind a stack of pallets loaded with dog food bags. My blood ran cold. "Hello?" I whispered, taking a hesitant step forward. The scraping stopped. I froze. From the shadows between the pallets, 2 pinpricks of reflected light appeared, low to the ground, unblinking, watching me. A low, rumbling growl vibrated through the concrete floor, crawling up my legs. It wasn't a dog. It was deeper, guttural, filled with a malice that froze my bones. I backed away slowly, my eyes locked on those unnatural points of light. My hand fumbled blindly behind me, searching for the door handle. My fingers found cold metal. I twisted. Locked. The warehouse doors automatically locked from the inside after closing. I was trapped. The growl intensified, becoming a snarl. The shadow behind the pallets shifted, rising. It was tall, too tall, and it moved with a jerky, unnatural gait. The pinprick eyes remained fixed on me. The metallic smell was overwhelming now, filling the warehouse air, thick and cloying. It took a step out from the pallets. The dim light glinted off something dark and wet coating its hands? Claws? I didn't wait to see more. I turned and ran deeper into the warehouse maze, ducking between towering stacks of merchandise, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The dragging, scraping sound started again, faster now, closing the distance. It knew where I was. I spotted the emergency exit door near the loading dock. Salvation. I sprinted towards it, the snarls and scraping sounds echoing terrifyingly close behind. I slammed into the bar across the door. It didn't budge, locked from the outside for security. A sob escaped my throat. Trapped. I whirled around. It stood at the end of the narrow corridor formed by pallets of toilet paper, silhouetted against the dim emergency lights near the ceiling. Tall, hunched, limbs seeming too long and jointed wrong. The metallic stench rolled off it in waves. Those eyes glowed faintly in the gloom. It lunged. Not with speed, but with terrifying, deliberate purpose. I dodged sideways, crashing into a pallet. Boxes tumbled. I scrambled backwards on my hands and knees, my stocking vest snagging on the rough plastic. It turned its head, those eyes finding me instantly. It raised one long, shadowed arm. Something dark dripped from its end. A primal scream tore from my throat, raw with terror. I grabbed a loose box, light bulbs, and hurled it. It shattered uselessly against the concrete floor near its feet. It didn't flinch, just kept advancing. Then, a miracle! The piercing wail of the fire alarm shattered the nightmare. Red strobe lights began flashing erratically throughout the warehouse. The creature recoiled, letting out a shriek that sounded like tearing metal. It stumbled back, clawing at its head as if the sound physically hurt it. I didn't question it. I scrambled to my feet and ran, not towards the creature, but back towards the double doors leading to the sales floor. In the chaos of the alarm, maybe the lock disengaged? I slammed my shoulder into the bar. This time, it gave with a loud clunk. I spilled out onto the sales floor. The alarms were deafening here too, the lights strobing red. Janice was by the registers, wide-eyed, phone clutched to her ear, shouting over the din. She saw me, pale and shaking, and her eyes widened further. "What happened?" she yelled, running towards me. "I saw blood near aisle 7. I called the police and pulled the alarm." I couldn't speak. I just pointed a trembling finger back towards the warehouse doors, still swinging slightly. In there," I choked out. We both stared at the doors. They stood slightly ajar, revealing only darkness beyond. The dragging, scraping sound was gone. The only noise was the relentless scream of the alarm. But the metallic smell lingered, even out here. And the image of those unblinking, reflective eyes in the dark is burned into my mind. The police searched. They found Dave's walkie-talkie near the dog food pallets, smashed. They found dark, congealing stains on the concrete that tested positive for blood. Human blood. But they never found Dave, or Mike, or whatever it was that stalked me in the dark. I quit the next day. Sometimes, late at night, I still smell Pennies, and I wonder what really walks the empty aisles after the lights go out. The police found Dave's smashed walkie and dark stains that tested as human blood, but they never found Dave, they never found Mike, and they never found the thing with the wrong joints and eyes like shattered glass that stalked me through the locked warehouse. The thing that vanished only when the fire alarm screamed. I quit that night, but even now, the scent of Pennies on a rainy day stops me cold. It's a reminder that some shifts end, but what walks the empty aisles after the fluorescents flicker out? That horror never clocks out.